Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kaylee and these are my books. Today's video is actually a collab with Lexie from Books with Lexie, and we are doing a taste test. So basically we are giving each other 3 books, 2 books that we loved and 1 book that we hated, but we're not telling each other which ones were which. So then I will be reading Lexie's books and it'll be a taste test to see if I also hate the ones she hates and if I also love the ones that she loves. And we are also buddy reading 1 book together, and that book is House of Cotton. So you'll see me reading it a bit in this video too, because this video type is actually a series that Lexie does on her channel. Her most recent version of it, she did it with Riley from Riley Marie, and she always does a buddy read along with the 3 books that we give each other. So this is Lexie and I's buddy read. But I'm gonna go ahead and send you into the clip of me finding out what Lexie gave me. Hello, I just received Lexie's video where she is giving me all of the books, and I'm so excited to see what she gave me because I have no clue. Like, we've been talking about doing this video for a while, and she kind of knew at least one of the books that I was going to give her. I know nothing about what she's going to give me. It could be anything. So I'm going to go ahead and press play now.
Hi Kaylee, I'm so excited to be doing this video with you. This is one that I'm at the same time most confident about and also most terrified for.
Hell yeah.
Because we always say how similar
scared.
our reading taste is.
No.
And this feels like it could be proof, but also it's so hard because we've read so many of the same books that, like, what if those were the only ones we lined up on? I am joined by Bowser and Nova, and I have my
I'm
3
joined by
picks
Teddy.
for you. 2 of these I loved and 1 I did not. I did pick ones I don't talk about all the time, but also I'm almost positive you know my opinions on them. I'm very sorry I talk too much about books, but I'm still interested to see your thoughts on all of these. So the first one is Foe by Ian Reid. This is kind of sci-fi horror, but also not really.
I've never heard of this.
It is a very character-focused, isolated setting book. We are following a couple who lives in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, and somebody shows up at their house and informs the guy that he is part of this program where he has to travel extremely far away, but that he shouldn't worry because his wife will have very familiar company while he's gone. The next one is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. This is following
I know what she thinks about this one.
of people who are rehearsing for a play, and some
I'm
tragic
excited
things
to
start
try this one
happen.
though.
Someone is diagnosed with something and they start raising money for her. And then also someone turns up dead. So this is following transcripts of, I believe, emails and court documents and everything to try to figure out who killed the dead person. And then the third one is The Family Game by Catherine Stedman.
Ooh,
this is following a woman
I'm excited
who
about
just
this
got
one too.
engaged to
I also
a
know
man
what
who
she
has
thinks
a
about this
super
one.
rich
So by
family,
default, I know what she thinks about all of them.
The
That's okay. Oh, I'm so
becoming
excited. The
part
Family
of
Game.
their
Yes.
family games. There are rules she has to follow. There's some very interesting things. And also her father-in-law approaches her and is like, hey, I wrote a book, will you listen to the audiobook? And she starts listening to it, and then it starts to seem that maybe this is not a work of fiction. I hope you love all of these, even though I did not. I'm really excited to see your thoughts on all of these books. I hope this goes well for you. I guess fingers crossed you don't like one of them, so we line up. So I'm very nervous for this, but excited to see your video.
Okay, that's so exciting. So I know that she thought Appeal was boring, and now I'm like, am I off? Because if she loves Foe, the first book, why have I never heard her talk about it? Am I dumb? Am I just not listening every time she talks about it? I don't know. But the thing is, I remember, so this is stretching back my memory though, so I could be wrong. I'm not going to double check any of this because I think it's more fun to find out if I am correct or not, and I don't want to confirm it, of course. But The Appeal was her book club that she runs with Michelle from Michelle's Library and Monica from A Little Bit of Monica. That was their book club choice, like way back when I first found Lexie and Michelle's channels. And I wasn't really good friends with them just yet. I don't think. I was more like someone who watched their stuff. And I remember being excited for the book because of all the mixed media in it, but then not being as excited because I don't think any of them had a good time with it. So I think that's the one she didn't like, but I'm still excited to give it a go because it's such a unique concept of mixed media in a thriller mystery book. The Family Game I've been wanting to read for forever because of Lexie, because she says it's a really good thriller, so I'm pumped about that. And then Foe being a sci-fi horror with an isolated setting. That sounds wonderful. I'm so excited about that. But also, I don't know why I haven't heard of it. Maybe all of you watching this are going to be like, of course I've heard Lexie talk about that 10 times. And I'm about to be exposed as a fake Lexie fan, but hopefully not. I'm really pumped for all of these. I'm hoping I like all three, honestly. So I'm going to cut to when I start reading these books. Actually, before I cut, I need to show you what Teddy is looking like right now. Full mummy form. Okay, now I'm gonna cut to me reading the books. I'm about halfway through House of Cotton right now, and I'm feeling a lot of mixed emotions about it. So the basic premise for this book is we are following our main character, and she is in a super shitty situation. Her grandma has recently died, and she was really, really close with her grandma, and so now she's living alone in this house, and her landlord is like the biggest horrible person ever. He needs to be in jail. He's horrible, and he's trying to solicit sex from her for instead of money for the rent and everything. So she does not have a safe living situation because he just lets himself into the apartment whenever. And then her mom is not there to support her, so she lost her only support system, and she's working in a gas station, so it's not like she has a lot going on with her professional life either. And so she's just in a really, really horrible life situation right now, all sparked by the fact that she lost her grandmother in her life. And so then she sees this ad for modeling, and so she tries out to get this job, and it turns out it's really weird, and it's modeling pretending to be a dead person, so that on a video call the family members or the loved ones of the dead person can talk to the dead person. So it's kind of like a seance, but not really, and it's just really odd. So the modeling is to model dead people, and she gets the job, so she's working in this funeral home with these two very quirky, odd people that may or may not be friends, may or may not be enemies of her, who knows. And that's the situation. That's the premise for this book, and this book is focused on characters first and foremost. The plot is slow moving, but it does have a pretty strong gothic feel to it, a new gothic feel, because it's set in present day and everything. But I actually really enjoy the gothic feel to it, a southern gothic feel. I just think the focus on the characters and the slow moving plot is actually not anything I'm disliking up to this point. More so, my mixed feelings are coming from the focus of the book, because I think the funeral home stuff and the modeling dead people and possibly interacting with people from beyond the grave, that is so interesting to me. And I love seeing the manipulation of emotions and how morally gray this whole thing is. I think that part of the book is amazing. However, that feels the background to the book actually, in most of the book actually feels more like an exploration of our main character's relationship towards sex and pregnancy. And the pregnancy part specifically is what I'm not loving, the conversations surrounding the pregnancy. And I just wish we had more funeral home stuff and less random sex in the book and pregnancy stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like smut in books, but in this book it just feels random and out of place, and I get it's a part of this character, but it almost feels like it's more of a focus of the book, just these random men she's encountering, than this whole funeral job. And I thought that the funeral job would be the main part of the book. And so shifting my expectations to be more an exploration of this character's relationship towards intimacy is kind of a shift that I'm not ready to do, and I'm not happy about, because I went into this hoping it would be more horror, and it's not really horror at all, but we're getting those spooky, creepy, atmospheric moments in the funeral home content, and outside of it, it almost feels more literary fiction, character study fiction. So there's parts of the book I'm enjoying and there's parts of the book I'm not enjoying. There are certain plot moments that I'm really not a fan of. And I can't really tell you what they are without spoiling part of it. But to talk about it really, really vaguely, there's like a consequence that happens. And our main character is feeling really bad about this consequence. And she's like, I just tried to do a nice thing and I'm so sorry that this happened and this is devastating. And I'm like, how could you not see that this was going to be the result of this? Like, of course this would happen. You knew it was an unsafe situation and then for some reason just like forgot it was unsafe. Like, I'm so confused about this whole thing. And that's supposed to be a major source of conflict. So I don't understand why our character would have done this in the first place. It just feels so random and like not logical. And I get that our characters can make bad decisions, but this just didn't feel true to the character. And to be clear, this is not anything related to the pregnancy or the sex. This is something else. If you've read the book, I just want to make it clear, I'm not talking about any decisions she's made regarding pregnancy or sex. I'm talking about a decision she made involving another character. I'm like halfway through though, and I have all of these mixed feelings. This book feels like either a 2 or a 3 for me right now, and it's really gonna depend on the second half, how much more creepy content we get versus how much more discussions of pregnancy we get. Because the pregnancy discussions I'm just not interested in. I don't really like them. And then the random sex is just boring to me because I get that she likes to have sex with strangers the first time it happened. I didn't need to see 5 or 6 more scenes of this happening, you know? Where I would like to see 5 or 6 scenes of her doing the funeral home stuff, but we've only gotten like 1 scene of that. So it's just like a weird balance between the 2 aspects of this character's life. And the sex stuff just feels repetitive and it doesn't feel like it's adding anything either to my understanding of the character or adding anything to the plot or adding anything to the gothic atmosphere. It really just feels like throwaway content for me. And this is not like sexy sex either. So it's not even like, ooh, good smut. You know, it's not that kind of sex in the book. So I don't know. I'll check in when I finished and let you know my thoughts. I really hope it leans more towards a 3 than a 2, but it could go either way at this point. Hey, it's me. I have a beanie on. No one call me a burglar this time. It's a Libro FM beanie, so it's kind of bookish. Okay. It was just cozy. Sometimes you gotta wear a beanie with a tank top. Doesn't make sense? No. But is it cozy? Yes. Okay. But anyways, I have unfortunate news because I ended up deciding to DNF House of Cotton at 80%. I was nearly done and I just didn't care anymore. I don't know. It's such a disappointment because I was like really into the gothic vibes, but then it was just so slow moving and the gothic vibes were not enough. Like for example, House of Hunger, those gothic vibes, while the plot, I was way more into the plot, obviously, of House of Hunger than of House of Cotton. Oh my god, these book names are really similar. I just realized that, just made my brain stop working for a second. But House of Hunger plot, a million times better in my opinion than House of Cotton. But even if House of Hunger didn't have that cool of a plot, in my opinion, those gothic vibes are strong enough to sustain the whole book because I was just so into the atmosphere, where House of Cotton doesn't work that way. I mean, for the most part, it doesn't work that way because it's set in our world, you know? It's like set in 21st century, like they have cell phones. There are like weird moments that make you feel like it's dated, but then it's not dated. So I don't know. The setting though is not as interesting, in my opinion, to House of Hunger just because it is in our world. So there's a little bit less intrigue there for me to begin with. And then the plot, like I mentioned earlier, was much interested in the funeral stuff plot, like pretending to be a dead people plot. But that was so far in the background to what was, in my opinion, a really repetitive plot about just her struggles with sex and pregnancy and how she uses sex as a response to some traumas that are going on in her life. And again, I'm not saying that these conversations weren't interesting and were bad or anything like that. It's just not, those conversations are not what was interesting to me in the book. And I found them a bit repetitive and I just wanted them to be in the background and the funeral stuff to be in the foreground, but it was kind of reversed. So it just didn't work for me. I think if you like literary fiction, you could enjoy this book because I think it's doing a lot of really cool, subtle things in the book. It's just, I'm not typically someone that chooses to read literary fiction. I love genre fiction. Like, I love a fun plot, and this one just doesn't have that fun of a plot to me. So objectively, I think this book is good. Subjectively, it just was not a book for me. But I am now halfway into Faux. This is a really short book, so it took me like no time to get halfway through. It's so weird. So the premise is these people live in the middle of nowhere, and this man drives up to their house, like their farm. They've never seen this man before, and they're like, what the heck? What's this guy doing there? And he tells them that the husband of the family is just like a husband and wife that live at this house, this secluded house, that the husband has been selected for this special program to go to space. And that's the premise. That's the premise. I don't really want to tell you too much more. This is like horror, slightly sci-fi horror, but it's not a plot that is fast-paced. This is a plot where it's really, really holding you by the intrigue, by you trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So this is a plot where you're just feeling a bit of dread in what's coming, but it's not necessarily like got these high action moments. And that's okay for me. I am liking it, but I think I would like at this 50% part for a little bit more to have happened, because while I'm interested, I'm not obsessed with it. But I am really, really enjoying it. It's just, we need something to start happening for me to be obsessed with it at this point. But I am so intrigued to figure out what is happening. I have no idea what direction this is going towards. I'm like, is this even our world? Are they in space already? Are they aliens? Is everyone an alien? Like, do aliens even exist in this book? Like, I have no idea. My mind is going in a million different directions. It's definitely a book that wants you to kind of like theorize about what's going on. And those books can be fun. I just need it to give me a little something, a little something more within the next like 20% or so. So I will check in when I finish Faux. I'm just gonna really be sitting on my chair here listening to it until it's over because it's short, and that's all I feel like doing because I need to know what's going on with this weird family that lives in the middle of nowhere and possibly are going to space. Like, what the heck? So I'll check in a little bit. I finished Faux. Teddy is also sitting on my lap on this chair that is not big enough for both of us, not at all. But I did want to update because I finished Faux, and what? Like, it's not that weird, but also it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. So this, I know Lexie loved this book. I know Lexie gave it 5 stars because I saw it on Storygraph when I looked it up. Storygraph, why did I say that? I don't use Storygraph. I saw it on Goodreads when I looked it up. Lexie uses Storygraph, and she infected me in that moment. That was like Lexie possessing me for just a couple of seconds to say Storygraph instead. But no, I saw it on Goodreads because Lexie does update her ratings on Goodreads for most of the books too. Anyways, tangent. I know she gave it 5 stars. I'm giving it 4 stars. I didn't like it as much as she did. And I'm not gonna lie, I did debate 3 stars. I'm giving it 4 though. It's definitely a 4 for me, and it's not even a 3.5. It was just like a moment in my mind where it's like, was that a 3 or was that a 4? And it took a little bit of processing, and it is a 4 for me. It is a 4. I just needed a little bit more to happen for it to be higher. This is a lower 4, but still a solid 4. There were moments in the book where I felt a little bit bored. I was still intrigued the whole time. It's just the intrigue level was like dipping at certain moments, but it was still there. I hope that makes sense. And I wanted a little bit more from the ending. I just wanted like a bigger climax moment at the end, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be vague to not spoil anything, because for the most of the book, we're just seeing these people talk to each other. And they have some pretty interesting conversations, but I needed a little bit more substance. I wanted like us, all that like build up of the slow talking moments to build up to a bigger climax, when instead I felt like it was like just kind of solid the whole way through, just kind of solid. Solidly intriguing, but we never like got that big high moment. That's a lie. There was a climax moment. But like the climax was like here, and I wanted to go up to here. Like I wanted it to go insane, like insane. Where I feel like the things that happened, I kind of knew were what's going on. I kind of knew what was happening. And it's okay that I predicted it. It's just, if I predicted it, that means it didn't go as insane as it could have gone. And I definitely wanted possibly some scenes in different areas than we got. Different setting locations than we got. That's vague, but if you've read the book, you can maybe imagine what kind of scenes I would have appreciated. It was very interesting. I'm very glad I read it. I don't think I ever would have read this book if it wasn't for Lexie. I've never even heard about this book before this video, so it's cool I got a 4-star out of it. I'll probably read the appeal next, but I'm not reading it today, so I'll check in the next day or two. I don't even know if I'll get to it tomorrow, but I'll check in eventually when I end up reading it. I'm intrigued by that one and nervous because of the format is really cool, but I'm nervous because I know a lot of people thought it was boring, so we'll see. But for now, Teddy and I are gonna go watch Alice in Borderland because that's another thing that Lexie has kind of forced us into consuming this week. And I'm obsessed. I'm loving it so much. That's the biggest win of the video so far. But that's what I want to go do for the rest of the day. No more reading will be done. So I'll check in tomorrow. Hello, I am about halfway through the appeal. Sorry, I have the dust jacket off. But I am listening to it and reading it at the same time because this is a mixed media book. I'll go ahead and show you some pages right now. So like here's the first page, and the whole premise of this book is that these lawyers are going through all of these strings of text messages and emails and documents, and they're trying to figure out what happened in this case because apparently someone ends up dead and there's potential fraud going on, and it's all about these people that are involved in a local community's play. I'm just flipping through some pages so you kind of get a feel for it, but you can see lots of mixed media, lots of cool stuff going on. I'll go ahead and flip the camera back around now. But the premise for this book is we are in what feels like a small town. I'm actually not sure if it's a small town or not, but it's a town where it seems like everyone kind of knows each other, and the prominent wealthy family has their daughter, unfortunately their 2-year-old daughter, it's a really aggressive form of cancer, and there's this experimental medicine available in America for them to buy. These people are in the UK, but it's going to cost a ton of money, and so they're trying to put on this fundraiser, and it's about this small community also putting on a play at the same time. And the people in the play are trying to fundraise for this wealthy family's daughter, because even though the family's wealthy, this amount that they need for the drugs is more than even they have. From the start, we know this small community ends up spiraling and someone ends up dead, and there's potential fraud going on and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so we are kind of being put in the lawyer's perspective of flipping through the documents, trying to see what the heck happened. And there are little interjections from the lawyers throughout, so it's not just like the past documents, the past text messages. We also kind of get like the present day lawyers interjections. And I'm actually surprisingly having a good time. I say surprisingly because I'm almost certain that this is the book that Lexie did not like. But like I'm halfway through it right now and I'm really intrigued. I am having a good time with the mixed media format. I really like the full immersion read with the extra audio, special like writing noises and text message noises and stuff like that. And it's a full cast, and so the cast is really good, paired with my eyes like visually seeing what's going on the page. And I do think I need both for me to like this book, because just the audio, it's sometimes hard to tell like what kind of document you're hearing. Like occasionally there's post-it notes that are supposed to be like a post-it note over the file that the lawyers have added, but it's not immediately clear in the audio that this is like a separate post-it note. It just kind of says the words. And so that would be really confusing if I didn't have my eyes to see that this is a post-it note on the page. But if I just had the book with my eyes and not my ears, I think it is a little bit dry at parts, where the audio sounds are making it more interesting than it would be if I just had my eyes. Also, I don't know if you can hear Teddy. Teddy is in front of me chewing on a bone. I'll show you him right now. Here's Teddy. Don't mind my laundry in the back, but here's Teddy chewing a bone on the bed. So while this book has some sections that are dry, I think overall it's really interesting, and I think it's gimmicky enough that I'm having a good time with it, even though the story itself isn't anything like super special. Because there are moments that, because of the format, I'm actually like chuckling and laughing out loud at, which is weird. You wouldn't expect this kind of book, like a mystery slash thriller book, to make you laugh, but it's actually quite funny in moments. The humor is subtle, but it's working. And the characters, I actually feel like I have a good grasp over all of the characters, which in my opinion is impressive because there are so many characters in this book, and because it has a more experimental prose style with the mixed media. I'm surprised at how much character development I feel like I'm getting, or not character development. I guess a better phrase for it would be characterization that I'm getting between all of these people. Some of the more money heavy aspects I feel like are a little bit going over my head. Not in a way that is confusing, and I don't think the book is confusing. It's more so that I'm just not as interested in the like specifics of the money and the potential fraud involved. Like there's this whole question of, is it fraud? Is it not fraud? And that's the part that's a little bit dry for me. That's the part that I'm not caring as much about. I'm more so am enjoying the character moments and being like a voyeur into all of these characters' personal lives, and seeing all the petty drama amongst them, and then the larger issues of the mystery of what's going on and how this person ends up dead, and the whole cancer storyline of the daughter. All of that is really interesting. So a lot is working for me in this book, a lot more than I thought. And I've just been listening to it since I got off of work today, and I think I'm going to continue listening to it. Like, I'm so into it that I just want to kind of binge through it right now. So that's a good sign. We'll have to see where it takes me, because if it doesn't take me in any interesting direction, I don't know if the rating will be super, super high. But if it does go in an interesting direction, I feel like this has potential of being a 5-star book right now. But there are some drier sections. So those drier sections need to be balanced out by like a big end. You know what I mean? Otherwise, this isn't gonna get 5 stars for me, but it could still get 4 because I'm having a good time with it.
So I wanted to show off the food I just ordered because it's so good. I just did a taste test of everything. This is an insane amount of food. It's definitely gonna feed me for like a couple of days. I just wanted to order 3 different dishes because I was wanting to try it all, because I don't know if you guys were on my sprints or even what sprints they were on. I can't remember if they were my sprints or someone else's sprints, but on sprints recently, I was talking about how one of the things that I don't like about where I live in Texas is that there's not a ton of food diversity. And an example I made is like, oh, I don't think like there's any Korean food place by me. And I miss it because where I grew up in California, there's tons of different food places all over. Like you could get whatever you wanted at any time. Where I live in Texas, there's just not as much. But then I found this Korean food place in Texas, and I wanted to show off what I got. I got a bunch of different things. So I don't know like the full names for everything, but I'm gonna like just describe what it tastes like because it's so good. So this is the first thing I got. It's like an appetizer, and it has like the beef bulgogi in here with just some vegetables and egg, and it's kind of like in a sushi roll type of thing with seaweed and rice. It's so amazing. It's so delicious, and it's actually like a good amount of food. This appetizer, like just this would be a giant meal, and I have 2 other meals to go with it. So then I got this ramen stuff, which the noodles came separate, but I believe this is what it goes with. So it's like a spicy broth with fish cakes and rice cakes and just vegetables and some egg here. But this broth, this spicy sauce is amazing. And so I think you just put the noodles in after they came separate. I haven't tried it with the noodles yet, but I just tried this part by itself. So good. And then I got this, like, I think this is what normally comes in like a hot pot thing, and I think this is what I used to get when I did my undergrad, and this like Korean place was open 24 hours a day. And after we would go out to bars and stuff, we would always come back and get this like tofu kimchi soup type of thing. And so it's just like tofu and kimchi with like this spicy, delicious sauce. And there's also some pork in here too. And I'm like almost certain this is exactly what I used to get in undergrad all the time that I missed so much. And this is giant. Like, I don't know if I can like show you, like, here's my chopsticks. Like, this is a pretty big, hefty container full. And then it also came with this, which I think is probably just like little things that they put on your table and doesn't necessarily go with anything. But I got some rice, and then this, which I'm not sure what it is. It's really good. You can see I took a bite out of it. Like, I think it's potato, maybe. And then some pickled cucumbers, or not pickled. It's like spicy cucumbers. And then this is kimchi. And then I'm not sure exactly what these are, but they're really good. And they're in all of these other things. And I've had them a bunch of times, but I just don't know exactly what they are, but they taste awesome. So I just wanted to show off the haul. I'm gonna like make a tiny dent in each of these and then save it. And this is what I will be eating for all of my meals for the foreseeable future. And I'm so stoked about it because it's so good. And I'm just really happy that I found this Korean restaurant by me, because it also wasn't expensive. I got all this food for $30, and of course that's like more than I would spend on a meal, but I think this is gonna give me like quite a few meals out of this. So it's kind of like I went grocery shopping, but it's just takeout for a while. But I'm happy about it because this is so good. Okay, I'll check in on my reading later, but for now I'm gonna tear into all of this feast in front of me. I'm so excited. So I finished The Appeal, and I actually really liked it. I will say the book, the last 100 pages kind of switch what it was doing a little bit, where the first like 300 pages are all about these lawyers going through this communication between people, like through emails, text messages, stuff like that, where then the last 100 pages we get more of the lawyers actually talking to each other and trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And we still got some communication from the characters in the first 300 pages, but they took a backseat to the lawyers discussing everything that happened in the first 300 pages. So I will say the last 100 pages I liked a little bit less than the first 300 pages, but I still enjoyed it. It took me just a second to get used to the lawyers talking about it, because it was a bit more distant of a perspective, of course, because it's the lawyers. And so I miss being as close to the characters as I was in the first 300 pages. But I think I'm still giving this book 4 stars. I'm like almost certain Lexie didn't like this, or maybe she gave it 3 stars. I can't remember. But I liked it. I really liked it. And I feel like it was a high 4-star for me even. I just think it was so fun. The story itself, if we boil down the book to just the story, not the strongest story. It's not that like amazing of a story. But the way it was told, I just found so fun. I was having such a fun time reading this book. I ended up reading most of it yesterday and then just finished it up this morning. And I was wanting to follow along with my eyes and my ears. I was so engaged, and I just thought it was like a fun puzzle the whole way through. Like I was trying to solve it alongside the lawyers. Did I figure a single thing out? No, I did not. But it was still just so fun. I had such a fun time. So if the story was a little bit stronger, like the mystery of it all, it could have gotten 5 stars. But I feel like the story itself wasn't something I cared about as much. It was more like the experience of reading it, which sounds weird, but that's why it's getting 4 stars for me, because the experience was such a nice experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and start reading The Family Game. To give you a little behind the scenes information about timing, it is Saturday right now. And I'm supposed to post this video tomorrow, so I'm gonna be binge listening to The Family Game, but that's okay, because that's actually how I prefer to listen to these like fast-paced thrillers, which is what I think The Family Game is. I just like to binge it in one sitting, usually with the audio. So I have the audio, I'm gonna binge it. I'm just gonna probably sit on the couch and play like some like mindless games on my phone while I listen to it. I might also clean up a little bit because it's a little bit cluttered around me right now and I have to do the dishes. But I'll check in when I'm about halfway through the book, unless I have thoughts earlier. But I'll let you know how it's going. I have high hopes for this book though. And I can't believe, I mean, so far we've gotten to 4 stars, so pretty good. I mean, we haven't had like a new favorite yet from this video, but I've still been having a great time with these books. So hopefully The Family Game becomes the huge ding 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 winner of the video and I give it 5 stars and I love it. We'll see. I got these bones from the vet. They're rawhide, but they have like enzymes for your dog's teeth or whatever. I don't know. The vet recommended them, and Teddy loves them so much. Each morning, they're like a daily thing he's supposed to have, and each morning it takes him so long to find a spot to hide it. And that's our routine. Every morning he gets one of these bones and he hides it somewhere. Usually right there.
that's usually where he hides it. He shoves it into there. And then he waits until a special time in the day when he's feeling his best. Right now it's the afternoon time to chew on it. And he chews on it above me, and he's the happiest little boy. I love these bones. And they're like actually take him a while to chew, and it takes him so long to finish. It's like a good activity for him. Huh, Teddy? You like it? You like the bone? He's like, why are you talking to me? I'm trying to chew on my bone. But yeah, I wanted to share that because he's been loving them so much. And it's just nice. I like that he has a fun activity. He moved away because I was bothering him. But wanted to share. He's cute. Hello, I just got out of the shower. Clearly haven't brushed my hair yet. I feel like so many clips in this vlog, I'm looking my absolute worst, but clearly I'm comfortable with you guys to be sharing this on the internet, so oh well. But anyways, I'm like halfway through the family game right now. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, but also there's some parts that are annoying me. So I don't know about 5 stars for this book, unfortunately, which sucks. But it still is feeling like a strong 4. It's just I feel like there's too many things that are currently annoying me for it to get like a solid 5. Let me give you the premise. Let me give you the taste of the book. So basically, this is a book where we are following an author, and she is marrying into this family that is super wealthy, super powerful, and kind of scary. And her fiance, he is like the firstborn son of the family, but he is a little bit estranged from them. And so they are trying to get the son to come back into the family and like be back for family events and all that kind of stuff, holidays and whatnot. And they're kind of trying to get him to be back through his fiance, this our main character, the author. But there's a lot of weird family traditions that they do, a lot of weird family games that they do, hence the title. And she might be digging up some secrets along the way when she's meeting all these people. And there's a really cool aspect of the book where she's listening to like this tape that she gets given by the her future father-in-law. And he says it's an audiobook, but then she starts to listen and it seems a little suspicious. It seems like it might not be fiction. I think that's what Lexie said at the beginning. And I'm listening to this book. I'm not reading it with my eyes. I'm reading it with my ears instead. And the tape part that she's listening to is so cool. The audio effect that they've done. It's like such a cool audiobook. I really recommend it. Like it sounds like a tape is playing and there's like some background ambiance and stuff. It's like just really well done in my opinion. It's super immersive and cool. So I'm really liking the story. I love rich people drama. I think it's so like fun every time. I love inheritance drama, and that's a little bit going on just with our main character's fiance being the firstborn son and like who's gonna inherit what and all of that, especially now that someone else is marrying into the family. Here's where I'm getting annoyed. This is a couple, like our main female character and her fiance, the guy who's part of the family, the firstborn son. I don't get their relationship at all. It's the same kind of annoyance that I have with like tons of domestic thrillers that focus on wife-husband drama, where I'm just like, why don't you guys talk to each other? Like, just communicate. If you're in love, why are you afraid to like mention any details about each other to each other? And why are you okay when your like spouse is like doing all these crazy things and you just like accept? Like, it's so odd to me. It's just like the kind of like almost the meme of like, well, the whole book could be avoided if she just like broke up with him, if she just left him when she had the first million red flags. And it's a little bit more complicated in this situation because it is a whole like family involved. It's not like all the conflict is from him. It's like the conflict between her and him and his family and her and his family and then outside sources. Like, is a whole web of conflict. However, it still is annoying me certain moments where they just are choosing randomly not to talk to each other, and I'm like, why? It seems like they don't know each other at all and yet they're in love. Like, I just don't buy their relationship at all. I don't get how they're in love. Like, they seem like they're strangers to me, so it's odd that they care about each other. Like, I don't know, it's just That whole thing is weird to me, and so any scenes with them two in it I don't like because they always just feel weird. And then so far we've gotten one game, and while I do like the concept of the games that these families play and their traditions, I also wish they were darker, and this is definitely partially like just my own subjective time and place right now because I am currently binging Alice in Borderland. I'm on season 2 now. It's awesome. It's a show on Netflix. But if you don't know anything about Alice in Borderland, it's a Japanese show, Netflix original, where they are like competing in these brutal death games that are psychological, physical, like they're the most insane, horrific games ever that they have to compete in, and if they die or if they lose the game, they die, and it's like brutal, right? So then to go from watching that show to reading the family game where there's these games in the book and they're nowhere near anything close to Alice in Borderland, but because they're both called games and because this is a thriller, I was a little bit disappointed that it's not anything close to Alice in Borderland, which is not the book's fault at all. The book never said it was like Alice in Borderland. Nowhere in the synopsis does it imply this. Nowhere about the book does it imply this. It's literally just like a very subjective condition that I currently have where I am really wanting these brutal games. And so when the family games are not being as brutal as I want them, I'm getting disappointed. So that's where it's not feeling like a 5-star for me, is the games just like being personally disappointed by them. And then the husband and wife, or I guess they're not married yet, but the fiancés, what are they called? Engaged couple. I don't get their relationship at all. That relationship makes no sense to me. However, the bigger plot and like the bigger mystery of what's going on and all of the character interactions besides our main couple, loving. And I'm excited to continue listening to this for the next like couple of hours too. So I'm having a really good time with it. It's just because of those little annoyances that I have. And again, I know the Alice in Borderland thing is not fair at all, but it's still how I feel currently and I can't change how I feel. So because of those little annoyances, I feel like it isn't like a 5-star, but maybe the last 50% will go insane and maybe it'll become a 5-star. But I'll check in once I finish. But for now, we're just gonna keep reading. We're gonna keep reading. Why did I say that? Teddy's not gonna read. I'm gonna read. Teddy's gonna sleep. So I'll check in a bit. Hello, welcome to the end of the video. I did finish the family game and I am giving it 4 stars. This is a video full of 4 stars. Basically, my thoughts from the last check-in are pretty much the same. I wanted it to go even crazier than it went. It did go crazy though. This is a solid 4-star. This was one of the 4 stars I was debating between 5 and 4. But I really think Alice in Borderland just ruined the word games for me. And it makes me want something from them. And then when this book didn't give me that something, I got a little bit sad about it. And then still like the engaged couple's relationship was just the oddest thing ever. I don't understand it. And so because I felt those annoyances, and they were brief annoyances, but I felt those annoyances throughout the book, throughout the entirety of the book, I am going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. However, I loved the plot. I loved the almost dual timeline of hearing about the tape and hearing what's going on with the tape and then hearing what's going on with our present day characters. I loved that so many people had secret motivations. It was really fun to find out more about these characters and try to figure out who you can trust, who you can't trust. This family of rich, powerful people was just like the worst, but I loved them. They were just really entertaining. I loved binging it. Like there's never a part in the book where it's like, do I not want to read this whole thing all in one sitting? No, I definitely wanted to read the whole book all in one sitting. So I had a great time with this book, giving it 4 stars. And honestly, just being real, I think if I read it before watching Alice in Borderland, maybe it could have gotten a 4.5. I still think the engaged couple's weirdness with each other held it back from a 5 because that's just something I'm so picky about and why I don't read a ton of thrillers involving a husband and wife or like a couple or anything because it's so weird. Maybe it's the romance reader in me, but it's so weird. So to wrap up the video, I gave a DNF to our buddy read. If I had continued reading it, I think it would have gotten like a 2 stars for me, but we don't have time for 2 stars, you know, so I DNF'd it. And then I gave 4 stars to Foe, 4 stars to The Appeal, and 4 stars to The Family Game. So all of them I gave 4 stars to. If I had to like rank my 4 stars, like which ones I liked more, because I liked them all about the same, but you know, there is a range of 4 stars, like types of books that get 4 stars. And honestly, I feel like The Appeal for me was like the highest 4 star. This is the book I had the most fun with. The story inside, not amazing, but the gimmicks, the experience of reading it, so much fun. It was such an experience. Like, I had a great time with it. So if I had to like rank these books, I think I would put The Appeal on top, then The Family Game, then Foe, and then way down at the bottom, House of Cotton. All of these books were wins for me in terms of taste test match aligning with Lexie. I don't think I aligned super well, since I liked the book she hated and then I liked the book that she loved. I just liked all the books. And so none of them I loved, but I also enjoyed all of them. So it was a win for me, but not necessarily a perfect alignment with Lexie there. We are now at the end of the video though, so if you haven't yet watched Lexie's version of this video, that's gonna be linked in the description box below. Please go watch it. You gotta go see what 3 books I gave Lexie and see if Lexie aligned with my taste or did not align with my taste. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time. Bye!